Trained by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
And
seems like it would be easier when the pandemic happened, just because you could wear a mask, hide your face. If you start bombing, you like.
Why would I hide my face?
I'm just saying, if you start bombing, dude, like
Shit, I did a set here one night to a person. It was one person, and I should know his name because he hangs out here. He's a little short white guy with white hair.
Oh, Dave,
yeah. And
Dave,
you know, it was funny. It just ended up being a conversation as opposed to a set. And I had an idea of what I wanted to say, and I don't remember what it was, but it was funny. And then every now and then when I see him, I'm like, oh, it's my audience.
I love eccentric people. And I believe David Nathan is one of the most eccentric people I've ever met. Like, I've known the guy now for probably 5 or 6 years, and he's only said 2 words to me the entire time. But we see each other all the time.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I don't even, and we actually talk to him. He just doesn't like, yeah.
He doesn't need to say anything, I guess.
But he does. He makes great music.
Is he a musician?
Oh my God, yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he actually wrote a song for another bar.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we have an Another Bar song out there.
Yeah, that's another reason why I started coming. I started coming here after I moved out from my girlfriend's house and moved back in with my mom. And she lives like 6 blocks away. So like I can walk here.
Mm-hmm.
Walk home is more the point. But I came here one night when y'all had the open mic music night.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're right down the street from Loyola, who has fantastic musicians. And I came in and it was like someone was playing the cello, someone was playing the oboe, it was a mix mash, and it was fantastic. And you know, I love music and live performances. When I was in law school, I worked at the Howlin Wolf, and you know, I saw some of the greatest shows of musicians I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And the owner there, this guy named Jack Grutch, he owned a club in Nashville, and he had a bunch of connections from being there. And then he moved here and opened the Howlin Wolf. And this was, I graduated law school in 2001. So I did Y2K. That was a crazy night. But I saw shows. And there would be, you know, I'd be like, oh, man, I'm not going to make any money tonight. And then 500 people would show up.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I remember the most that kind of caught me off guard and let me really know, like, Jack knew what he was doing, was Dick Dale. And I was like, I don't know who the hell Dick Dale is. And someone was like, you're going to know who he is as soon as he starts playing. And he's the guy he's the music all through Pulp Fiction, that surfer guitar music.
Seriously?
That's Dick Dale. So he comes out, and of course he starts playing like the opening theme to Pulp Fiction. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone there knew who he was too, because they were all there like fawning all over him because he's this fantastic guitarist. I'm sure most of the people there were guitar enthusiasts.
Is he from here?
No.
Okay.
No. He's it's like California surfer music. So yeah. I assume he's from California.
Yeah, dude, this city is just cram-packed full of talent. And that's kind of why we started the open mics, because there were so many talented people that were drawn to this bar. For what reason, I don't have a fucking clue. But they were coming in the bar, and one of the guys would ask, you know, can I start an open mic comedy night? And I was like, sure, let's fucking try it.
Who started the mic?
It was Marcus Bond.
Okay. I know Marcus, and Marcus also has given me a lot of advice here and there. I think it was Marcus. I got thrown off of a stage one night at 12 Mile Limit.
What happened? Talk to me.
So I said a bad word.
Okay.
And the problem is that, and Marcus was like, dude, you can come fucking do this whenever you want.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to do a set about the LGBT community.
Oof.
And tensions were high.
Oof.
And the bartender host there, I can't think of his name right now, but he's apparently trans. And I said the word fag.
Yeah.
And the problem is that it was a setup for another joke that was then going to be turned into another joke. And if you'd like me to try and get this podcast canceled, I'll happily tell it.
Well, it's not even off the ground yet, so you can cancel it all the time.
Groovy. So the joke starts off with, at some point when I was about 15, I asked my dad something about gay people.
Okay.
And his response was, you can fuck 1,000 women, but you suck one little dick, you're a fag the rest of your life. That horrible statement is the setup for the joke that I was trying to get to, which is that was advice. That was advice that was given to me 35 years ago. I just turned 50. So 35 years ago sounded like good advice. And nowadays, given that logic, I could fuck a trans girl, but as long as I don't suck her dick, I'm not a fag. That's the setup. And it's a long way to get to it. And I am very supportive of being whatever you want to be. I don't care. My daughter is gay. She came out to me when she was 14 via text, and she said, Dad, would you care if I was gay? And I said, not at all, but I want grandchildren. And she said, deal. So fortunately, she does still want kids. So I will get grandkids. But, I grew up in New Orleans, and I started.
You come to this bar. Like, this bar is this, it's plastered full of gay and trans people. They love it here.
Yeah. Like, I don't care. It's.
Well, I'm saying they love you too.
Well, good.
Even Towner, the night that we had that mishap at the bar, he was like, dude, I love Raleigh.
Oh, you mean the whole reason I'm here?
The whole reason you're here today, yeah.
Which, again, I will apologize for, but I'm not sorry because I'm here. So I guess to tell everyone, I was doing stand-up, and I lit a cigarette on this stage. And Ben started freaking out, and I was like, no, it's cool. It's protected by the First Amendment. And then Ben, who's
Towner?
Towner.
Yeah.
Towner comes out and says, Raleigh, put it away. And so I was like, fuck. So I listened to him. He's the bartender. I wasn't listening to Ben, but I should have. And then you contacted me and, said, so what happened last night? And I was like, what did you hear? And you're like, you were smoking in my bar. And I was like, yeah, sorry. I apologize. I won't do it again. And, I said, but it was protected by the First Amendment. And my point is that I did think about it before I did it. And the way I thought about it was the bar won't get in trouble. Neither will I, because it's protected by the First Amendment. And Doug Stanhope did a extended bit and one of his specials. It's like the first thing he did. He walks out on stage, he lights a cigarette, and then goes into how it is protected by the First Amendment, and then proceeds to smoke, and then also reminds the audience that they can't smoke, but he can. So, I was going on that, which is shitty legal work. So I looked it up. I looked it up since I came here, and I didn't look it up too hard. I just did some searching on Google, and there is no. Okay, so there are laws in states that prevent smoking. Louisiana has one. New Orleans has a smoking ban on public venues. And then, so the argument for the exception in a performance venue is if it's legitimately part of the performance, then it can be, it's allowed. It's protected. And a Colorado, I think it's Denver, passed an ordinance that said, even though we consider it a public health and safety thing, and so we're still going to pass this, and we don't think that it violates the First Amendment, which they did. It went up through the courts, got to the Colorado Supreme Court, and they said balancing health and safety, they can do it. It's not protected by the First Amendment because there's a reason behind it. And First Amendment's not absolute, but so you're saying if it adds to the bit, you can do it. Yes. So but in Colorado, it was upheld. It went to the Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court. They declined to address it. So arguably, it's still out there in the ether. But your point was, dude, I don't smoke, and I don't want my bar smelling like smoke, which I never even thought of, and I apologize for that.
Well, I didn't even know it was you that night too. So normally whenever they text me and I'm at home and it's 11 o'clock or whatever, and they're like, yo, this is the issue that's happening at the bar right now. Rather than me going, okay, well, tell me all the details. I'm just like, well, 86th person. I'll deal with it tomorrow. That's why as soon as the next day when I woke up, I texted Ben and was like, who was that? And he's like, it was Raleigh. And I was like, dude, I know Raleigh. So that's why I hit you up and I was like, what happened last night? Talk to me. And I love an artist that makes bold choices. So that's why I told you. I was like, that's a bold choice. And I love that. And that's why I was like, we need to come on and talk about it.
Well, here's the thing. Like, that's what got back to you. And I kind of did it as a distraction on purpose, because then I pulled out a bag of weed and tried explaining taxes to people using a bag of weed. And did you even know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I pulled out a bag of weed and started, and people fucking were losing their minds about me smoking. I had no care in the world that I had a bag of marijuana in my hand, and I was trying to explain taxes. And I ultimately kind of worked my way through that joke, and then I let it. And then Wizard was here, and then I started doing a bit with Wizard. And Wizard, yeah, he's great. He was here. I didn't recognize him, but because I hadn't seen him in a long time. And then, like, the next day, I was downtown at work on Decatur.
Can we pop his collar off? There you go.
All right. So Wizard's walking down the street, pushing a cart filled with fruit covered in little cartons covered with ice. He's wearing like a chef's coat. And I guess he's hustling, selling cut fruit on Decatur Street. And I was like, what's up, Wizard? And he kind of didn't recognize me for a minute. And I was like, dude, we talked last night about potentially getting together and doing a skit about our dogs. Like, he's like, oh, yeah. So, hopefully that'll come to fruition. I got his number and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, Wizard's great, man. He acted in a couple of things we did a little while back, and he did great. He was great.
If you're ever looking, I act too.
Oh, I know this, Raleigh. I know the actors in the city. Trust me.
Well, I don't do that much acting.
Yeah, you and
I want to do more.
Who was the other guy I talked to? Lucero? Mm-hmm. What's his name?
I don't know.
You and him were working together for a while, weren't you?
Lucero?
I don't know how you say his name. Big Hispanic guy.
Where would we have been working together?
Maybe I'm just like hallucinating right now.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought you guys were like doing some film stuff together.
Mm-mm.
You do the 48 and stuff?
48?
48-hour film fest?
No. I mean, like, really, like, so the extent of my acting, I was in a Loyola student film called Transfiguration.
Okay.
That was cool. They filmed it 2 blocks from my house. And that went to some film festival, some short film festival. And then I was in 12 Angry Men on stage at 30 by 90 Theater. Mm-hmm. I was cast as the governor in Best Little Whorehouse in Texas right before COVID. So that got canceled. I was also cast as Starbuck in Moby Dick Rehearsed. Moby Dick, what's it called?
I don't know.
It's like Moby Dick Rehearsed, I think is the name of it. And it's a theatrical portrayal, and it starts off with the actors coming in, being cast to do a play about Moby Dick, and then it slowly turns into that play. And it's really cool because the way they did it was minimalist props. I mean, how do you put a whale on stage?
Right.
You don't is the answer. So they have to do all these other things, and there's like 6 boxes, and then that becomes the ship. And it was going to be really great. And like I was Starbuck. I was like second in command. I was so excited. Canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I was in some.
Is that you or me?
No, it was me. It's my daughter calling me. I was in some.
I'll see. That's the cool thing about being in a city with every college having a film program.
Yeah,
is that whenever that actually happens, or whenever it's time for them to like cast people as an actor, you can just go get in any of those films.
Yeah,
yeah. Because I mean, UNO has one. Loyola, Tulane.
Yeah. So I think it was on Backstage, and it was a call for, and they needed an actor quick because they had to get it done within like a week or something.
Oh, you should go to the castings, bro.
Castings.
Yeah, so like at Tulane, I don't know if Loyola does this, but I know Tulane does this. Whenever they're getting ready to cast all their student films, they'll make this like post. I don't know if they do it on the internet or put it on their website. I think it's like a film school website. So if you be on the lookout for it, but the post basically has breakdowns of every one of the students' films. And then the day of the auditions, you just go in there and you sound with the sides for this, this, and this. And I think you can pick like 3 or 4 different things to audition for, and they'll call you back and you give them an audition, a read, and
Cool.
they're there. Yeah. And I've been cast for a lot of stuff that way, just to keep like the wheels turning.
Yeah, I'll definitely look for that.
Yeah.
I just recently started looking at some of the groups on Facebook. Now that I'm retired as an attorney, I don't want to practice anymore. Free, and my daughter, who was trying to call me and who may need to take an Uber home.
Do you need to take that? We can. Yeah, go for it. What is he? What kind of dog is he?
He's a French bulldog.
French bulldog?
Oh, that's right. I was about to say, what were we talking about? But I'll tell you the story about how I got Winston. So the day I got Winston, I told this story on open mic from hell in the Quarter, which I didn't know existed. I was happy I got my new dog and was walking around the Quarter, and I saw the sign. I was walking around with my daughter, who's 18. And we saw the signs for it, and I was like, that looks interesting. So I just showed up and
So explain what open mic from hell is, please.
So it's a lot like Kill Tony, and they explained it to me that way. And so is pretty much everyone else. It's you got a panel, and they kind of throw a challenge at you. My challenge was kind of lame because I had Winston, and they kind of fit it to that. It was something. I was drunk. I don't remember. It's something like the audience. When I pointed the audience, they all barked or something. So the story about how I got Winston, it starts with Walton and Johnson. You familiar with that show? Okay.
No.
So there is a radio show that I started listening to at about 14. On my way to swim practice for Jesuit High School at 4:30 in the morning. And, at that 5 o'clock in the morning, at that point, anything, you want something to keep you awake.
Right.
So you don't die. At that point, me and the other guys in the carpool, we had like 4 or 5 of us. And, by then probably one of their moms was driving, but later on when we got our license, one of us would drive. And so they were funny. And so in there is Walton and Johnson. Walton's kind of like the Abbott. Johnson's kind of the Costello. He does voices. One of the voices that he does is Mr. Kenneth. And Mr. Kenneth is a gay guy. He runs, it's Mr. Kenneth, and he runs a salon. And he had a dachshund named Richard. And I always thought it was so funny. And I had dachshunds as a kid because they're great dogs. And I was like, I need a new dog. And so I'm going to get a dachshund and name him Richard. And Mr. Kenneth tells this story about, he's like, well, I came home to my office, and Richard had gotten up on the desk and walked through the ink pad. And there were just little dick prints all over the desk, and he calls him his little dick. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get Richard. And my daughter's like, you cannot get a fucking dog named Richard and call him Little Dick for short. And I was like, yes, I can. So I've decided that I'm not going to name him Richard. I'm going to name him JT, short for John Thomas, and he could still be Little Dick for short. But anyway, so I was going to I was driving by the SPCA. I think I was door dashing or something. And I was like, let's go see what the universe has for me today. Maybe they will have exactly what I'm looking for, which is this kind of coat, this kind of Catahoula looking coat, because I'm born and raised here. I was born at Baptist Hospital and grew up like right here for my whole life. But that Catahoula coat that mottled coat with the one blue eye and the one brown eye. I've seen dachshunds like that, and that's what I wanted. But they had Winston. So I come in, I see Winston. He's all happy because, he's a happy dog. And I was like, that's a good looking dog. So I kind of did a courtesy walk around, saw the other dogs, like this one's crazy looking. This one's really happy looking. This was
like an adoption place?
Yeah, the SPCA.
They had this dog there?
They had this dog at the SPCA in Algiers.
What the fuck? I figured you paid like big money for this dog.
That's why it's a great story. Like, what the fuck? So I say, all right, I want that dog. And they say, all right, well, sit down here, fill out this adoption form. And I fill it out and they're like, well, he still needs his surgery, which means I got to cut his nuts off.
Okay.
So he still needs his surgery. So come back tomorrow. And I said, okay, no problem. And I leave. And like 3 hours later, I get a call. This is about 8:00 at night. Which I'm pretty sure they're closed by then. But I get a call and they're like, we don't hold dogs. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what do you mean? Like, we don't hold dogs. I was like, I understand that, but like I was there today. I filled out the form. They said, okay, come back tomorrow. What's the problem? We don't hold dogs.
Somebody else wanted it.
That's exactly what it was. And so this is the way I put it when I was doing the stand-up. I said, I have a degree in English literature, which means I've studied the language. I have a degree in philosophy, which means I've studied knowledge itself. I have a degree in law, and I've had 24 years of reading criminal police reports as a reading police reports as a criminal defense attorney. And the only way that I could describe it was there was some fuckery going on.
Mm-hmm.
Someone there saw that dog and knew that it was a $5,000 dog and said, girl, someone came in, but I'm going to tell them they don't hold dogs and you can come and get that dog tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, my spidey senses went off and I'm a petty bitch. And so is my daughter. Thanks to Charlotte Dobre. Do you know who she is?
No.
She does this great podcast. It's reaction videos.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just people being petty, and it's hilarious. Anyway, so thank you, Charlotte. So fortunately my daughter's petty too. And we showed up 15 minutes before the doors opened and we said, we're here to pick up Winston. And they're like, we don't hold dogs. I said, I know you told me that over the phone. You don't have to hold the dog. We will be here waiting for him to get out of surgery. And they were like, okay. And when I say we, I meant like I sat my daughter there for 4.5 hours while they did his surgery and let him recover. And so when it was all said and done, they're like, all right, you're ready to take Winston. I said, well, did he go up on, they're like, we didn't even put him on the website for adoption because you're already here. You've already filled out the form. And that's my fucking dog.
It was a happy ending, man.
Yeah. And so like they say he's 3.5 years old. He's he kind of pisses in the house a little bit. I got to train him to do that a little better. He needs to learn to heel a little better. Other than that, he's a great dog. And the only thing I can think of is someone like old person died and the kids didn't want it or something. Right. Like he's not mean. He kind of fights with my other dog who's like 18 and has no teeth, but they don't they kind of avoid each other.
He's a gorgeous dog though, man.
He's a beautiful dog. And if they hadn't cut his nuts off, he could go for
maybe a breeder.
Yeah. $5,000 a pup. The price of one puppy is what you get for the stud fee. Mm-hmm. And now he's worthless. Well, he's priceless. That's what I say. He's priceless.
He's still a good boy.
He's a great dog. And, he has his moments where like he's protective. Like you saw him like looking and kind of he'll bark.
Well, he's probably sniffing out all the dogs here too. Cause this is a dog friendly bar.
Well, so. He's been here before.
Okay. Look at him. He's like pissed off. He's like, yeah, I smell them.
Mm-hmm.
I smell them bitches. I'll check really good at the corners whenever we get off the podcast. If I have to clean your messes
I walked him around before we came in just because when I came by, I guess, I don't know. I saw someone in here.
Oh, we were here. Yeah. I was with Ricky.
But I figured that since the door was closed, I didn't know if you did an open podcast or not. So obviously not.
No. So like what I would like to do eventually is there's a back room that we have here, and I would like to convert that into a podcast studio.
Yeah. You were telling that to AJ on one of your shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like the ultimate plan. I mean, right now, it's just me doing this, but I mean, there's got to be more people that get involved before I can do all that, because I'll need someone off to the side that's actually running the show. This is the easy setup for me to do solo.
I live 6 blocks away.
Oh yeah, well, dude, we may have to get involved with each other then.
Cool.
So like when it comes to making bold choices, you seem to be like one of the ones that like to do that. Is it for shock value, or is it just like because I don't know, you have bold thoughts?
I'd love to be the next Don Rickles. I mean, Lisa Lampanelli already beat me to that, obviously, but the problem is that I want to make those bold choices. I want to make those bold statements, and cancel culture kind of curves it.
Yeah,
like
as a white dude.
Yeah,
it's kind of
well,
difficult.
yeah, and I've addressed that before as well. I mean, whatever. But I don't know. It's being from New Orleans. I see the world differently than most white dudes. 50-year-old white dudes.
He's scratching his butt. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. I just.
What do you mean by that statement?
So, one thing, I grew up here in New Orleans, like New Orleans proper, and you hear people like, "Oh, black, white." Well, which black people are you talking about? Are you talking about the black homeless guy that I represented pro bono as an attorney, or are you talking about the district attorney Jason Williams, who is the epitome of what I wanted to be as a criminal defense attorney? He is dynamic. He is phenomenal. I wholly support him as DA. I've known Jason my entire career, or his entire career. I can't remember which one of us started, but we started around the same time. Him and John Fuller is one of the most dynamic attorneys as well. Those are two very powerful black men in this city. I don't know if they're both from here, but like, are you talking about that guy? Are you talking about the judge who put my client in jail? You talking about the mayor? It's New Orleans. Like, it's not somewhere where like black people are rare.
Right.
Before Katrina, it was 75%. After Katrina, it came down to 65%, and the 10% got filled in by all the Latinos that came in and rebuilt the city after Katrina.
Yeah, it almost seems like when they bring race up as a problem, they're outside the city looking at it going, this has got to be an issue. And when you live here, you're like, this isn't even really that big of a deal.
It's not. And again, like I can't remember where it came from, but I love that someone like put up the districts of the United States, and New Orleans, from New Orleans to like Pensacola, it's referred to as New France.
Okay.
And, New Orleans is very European city based. I mean, we were ruled by 3 different European countries: the English, the French, Spanish. Most of the city is 300 years old, comparable to many European cities. But, but then again, European cities are thousands of years old because, the civilizations were there. There's cities in, the Far East that are tens of thousands of years old. So, being 300-year-old city isn't that big of a deal, but in America it is. And one of the things that cures racism, I don't know who said this, but is travel. And living in the 3rd largest port city in America, you don't have to travel because everybody comes to you.
I say that shit all the time, and people get so mad at me when I do.
Everybody comes here. I work on Bourbon Street or Decatur. I work for Big Easy Daiquiris, Creole Cuisine, restaurant concepts, which is, I don't know. It's a company, and I don't like working for companies, but whatever. I needed a job. I bartended a lot before law school. It's cool. I got to work there later tonight too. So, but you see all these people who come, and it's interesting because like there'll be a convention. Like the other day, it was so funny. If no one brought this up, they had a swingers convention, a vision impaired convention,
okay,
And I'm pretty sure there were some like Lutherans or Lutheran convention or something. And they were all at, I don't know where the swingers convention, if it was just everywhere, if it was also at the convention center.
They usually rent out a hotel for that.
Yeah. So, but I'm sure that there was at least one blind Lutheran swinger that was really happy. But you see these like for the blind thing, like every now and then you'll see. I think there's even a tour in the quarter where they give you a stick, put a blindfold on you, and then give you a guide, and you can blind walk your way through the quarter.
No way.
I could be wrong,
Bro,
but I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
Disgusting. When you think, what if you step in one of those puddles of water down there?
Yeah, you mean the street gravy?
Yeah. What if you step in some?
Well, that's why they give you a guide. So, but. I see, and you see blind people in the quarter. It's a quarter, like everyone goes there.
They move by scent.
Yuck. So, but then I started seeing a bunch of blind people walking by, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And finally I stopped someone and asked, and they're like, oh yeah, there's a convention. And so
what do they do at a blind convention? Like, wouldn't it be better to have a Zoom call?
Well, I mean, it's vision impaired.
Okay.
They're not all blind.
Okay.
And so, you see a lot of people, they have some vision. And I don't know, I assume it's there to give more awareness and to address probably some ADA issues with dealing with blind people.
Dude, imagine if you like stumbled into the swingers convention as a blind person, just on accident. You're like, what is going on here? Why are my clothes coming off?
Talk about the smells.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's most people don't even know that that's a thing here in New Orleans, the swingers convention.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very wild concept to me whenever I first moved down here, but I've been here for 11 years now. So, I mean, nothing really shocks me anymore.
New Orleans was built on debauchery. So
yeah, but naked bike rides, that was another one that I was like, what the fuck is this? And talk about smells.
Well, the naked bike ride, I know they have the naked bike ride. What's that? Is it during Pride? They do it just anyway. Well, they also ride naked during the Pride Parade.
Yeah,
I've seen that too. So
yeah, some of the things I've seen during that, because I used to bartend at Napoleon's Itch in the French Quarter.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That was when I first moved down here, and you want to talk about an eye-opening experience. Coming from a small town in Arkansas, moving to New Orleans, working at a gay bar. Yeah, it taught me a lot. I was like, "What? This is the world."
You learn real quick. And I worked at Arno's in the Quarter.
Okay.
I started there at 17, and in banquets, and eventually I was the youngest banquet captain ever made there. I was like 21 when they made me a banquet captain. And then shortly thereafter, I quit. They decided that they didn't have to pay us the $2.13 an hour anymore because we were guaranteed to make at least minimum wage, which legally that's right. But I was like, go fuck yourself. And so we had this guy who came in and he said something to me about his wife. And so I was like, okay, he's got a wife. And so the next day or a week later, I was talking to one of my friends, one of the captains, and I mentioned something and he's like, dude, he's gay. And I was like, he told me he had a wife. So I went and asked him and I was like, dude, are you gay? Cause like, I'm just confused. And he's like, yeah, I was like, well, why'd you tell me you had a wife? He said, well, I just moved to New Orleans and I didn't know what the vibe was like. And I went after I told that, I went home and told my boyfriend, hey, I called you my wife tonight. But then I figured it out. And so I was like, yeah, dude, like nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
And so one of my points with that stand-up that I got kicked off for saying the F word, one of the points that I was going to make is like, if you've worked at any restaurant, I worked in New Orleans in the French Quarter on Bourbon Street.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you work in the French Quarter on Bourbon Street, there is going to be one flamboyantly gay guy in the front and one butch lesbian in the back. Stereotypically, it is probably true. Do you agree?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I mean,
I worked at a gay bar, so of course that was.
Well, yeah.
I was the only straight guy there.
Yeah, that I enjoy going down to Pride and being straight, but seeing the the pride that's going, all that pride.
Well, dude, that's another inclusive thing about this city. You know, we're talking about the racist thing, but there's a whole thing with like the sexist thing too. And in this city, it's like none of it matters.
Yeah, I like going down and fucking with the guys that have the signs that say God hates fags.
Oh yeah.
And because they're holding a sign and it has a quote from Leviticus. And I'm like, well, I hope y'all aren't eating any shrimp or crawfish while y'all are here, because that's banned too.
God don't like those either.
God don't like that either. And I told this to a friend of mine. I remember having an argument with this friend of mine who's he's a shrimper. He shrimps, he crabs. I know him because he was a hunting guide from this hunting camp that my dad belonged to, and I belonged to it for a bit. He's like, I believe in the Bible. And I was like, really? You catch and eat shrimp? It's like, what? And I looked it up, and we had a Bible at the camp for some reason, and because it's a bunch of degenerate drunks, and I was like, here, it's right here. And he's like, oh, that's the Jewish part of the Bible. That don't count. And I'm like, okay. I mean, if that's, and arguably, that's kind of what Jesus said. He said that, the past is past, and this is us moving forward. And
what's his issue with, what's Jesus's issue with fish or shrimp or whatever it is?
It's not his. It's the in Leviticus, which is part of I think it's part of the Talmud, is part of the Pentateuch, the first 5 books.
You got me, bro. You're talking.
Yeah. So anyway,
above my pay grade.
In Leviticus, there is a list of the things that you can and cannot eat as a Jewish person.
But why though? That's my question.
Well, I mean, you got to think the answer is because God said so, but you got to think that the reasoning is because, some of the things are specifically like they lived in a desert. So eating seafood and shellfish is probably not a good idea.
It would be tough to find, wouldn't it?
I mean,
if you lived in a desert?
Well, they live on the shore, but they didn't have refrigerators. So like,
I don't eat that shit anyway. I grew up in Arkansas, so we eat meat.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up here hunting and fishing pretty much anything that moved that I could kill and eat because it's delicious.
That's us in Arkansas too. Yeah. But it's like catfish and bass.
I grew up hunting and fishing in Lafitte. My dad belonged to Little Lake Hunting Club, which was founded in 1908 by a bunch of really rich guys. And they have like 40,000 acres in 40,000 or 4,000. It's a lot of land that they lease right south of the town of Jean Lafitte. You go through Bayou Wrigley's and you go through the Harvey Cut, and then to the left, that's where Little Lake is. And I heard it got destroyed. It's gotten destroyed a bunch over the years by hurricanes, but I heard Irma messed it up really bad. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how much hunting they've been getting done, but I grew up down there. Hunting ducks, fishing, gator hunting. They usually would get like 120 tags.
Gators?
Yeah, right now, let's see, it's August. So probably gator season probably started around now. It's usually like early August to mid August. And
what do you shoot a gator with? Like what gets through their hide?
Something small, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we would use a 22 Magnum.
No way.
Yeah, because or a 9mm. The problem is you don't want to use anything too strong because you don't want it to go straight through the skull because it'll mess up the skin under the chin, which is what that's the kind of the prize.
Okay.
And so I don't wear them much here because I'm more casual, but I have several pairs of alligator boots from us catching them. We'd get them skinned and then send them off to American Tanning and Leather. They would tan them. They'd send us back the finished hides. And then we'd send them to Rodney Ammons, who used to work for Lucchese making boots. So it's a Lucchese style boot made out of 100% alligator. And Lucchese sells them for like 12 grand. All in, with the process, it would cost us about $2,000, $2,500 a pair. So, it's a good deal. They're great boots. They last forever if you take good care of them. I'm learning better to take better care of them. But yeah, we'd go out, catch them. The guides would skin them. We'd buy the hide directly from the guides because that was part of their deal. Like They guided us during the year. They had other jobs, but because duck season's only a month. Well, it's 2 months because you got to split. But the rest of the year they're fishing, they're doing construction, they're the coonasses. Yeah. They're not Cajuns because that area, town of Jean Lafitte, there might be some Cajuns, but most of them, like that town was literally founded by pirates. The town of Jean Lafitte, because Barataria, Grand Terre was on Barataria Island. And that's like,
yeah, Jean Lafitte was a pirate, right?
Yeah. He was a privateer.
Okay.
He was a privateer. Well, right. he was a pirate. And he had this enormous complex there. And, supposedly like the French came to him and tried to bribe him for some reason. And at his palace in the swamp, and he goes, take a look at what you're eating on. And they look down and they're solid gold plates. Like he didn't need the money. Mm-hmm. And I think that was when he was privateering for the British against the French Navy. And they got the right to go and just pillage because they had I can't remember what it's called, but you get a piece of paper that basically said, okay, you're not a pirate anymore. Now you're a privateer in the betterment of the king. So we're not going to charge you and kill you for piracy if you go and kill our enemies. Mm.
That pretty much sums up America right there, I would think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much how everything works these days. Is if you do what we want you to, then you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you do what they want you to do, then you're not doing what you want to do.
Yeah. So Ricky, that was just on here, we were kind of having this conversation about this and the amount of corruption that's actually in politics and stuff these days.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm referring to here. Where if you play by our rules, we'll let you kind of do, your own thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and there are people that are wising up to this and they don't want to play by those fucking rules anymore.
Yeah. And you have to make it to where it doesn't matter to you if you don't get what you want.
Well, like what do people want? That's the real question.
Well,
if you just want material things, then of course you're going to do well in the system because the system rewards people for good behavior, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, you can,
but if you want the world to be a good place, then it's different.
You can be a worker bee, but if you want to change, then you're going to meet resistance because people are going to see that what you're doing is not what they're told they're supposed to be doing, and that scares people.
Oh, the crab in a bucket mentality. They're going to pull you down too, huh?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. They're going to try. They're going to.
I think the same thing about what you're talking about with comedy and stuff. It's like the ones that are supposed to be pushing the boundaries are the artists.
Yeah.
And we're taking words away from artists and canceling them because they're the ones we're supposed to be listening to stretch our brains.
People don't want to have their brains stretched. They're too busy diving deeper into their, isolative depression.
Social media, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do it too. I've had my issues with it, and I kind of got to force myself to get out and do stuff.
With depression or social media?
Both.
Yeah.
I guess not so much. I mean, I have a YouTube page. I post some of my stand-up stuff there. I tried posting a bunch of shit during COVID just because I was bored. Mm-hmm. Urban hiking. Right before COVID hit, I was planning a trip to go with my daughter to New Mexico because I grew up. When I was growing up in, I was in Boy Scouts. I got my Eagle Scout by 14. And I went to Philmont, which is a backpacking camp in New Mexico, northeastern New Mexico. And there was a contingent from New Orleans because there's not a whole lot of people who want to go backpacking in the mountains in New Orleans. So they had to get a few members from different troops around New Orleans. And so we went there. I fell in love. A couple years later, I wanted to go back, but there weren't any troops. There wasn't anyone from New Orleans going, but I found out that they had what they call trail crew. And trail crew was you go and you build trails for 2 weeks, and then you get to backpack through the mountains for 2 weeks for free. And I was like, Dad, can I do this? And he's like, I pay for a plane ticket and a bus ticket, and you're gone for a month. Bye. And so I did that for 2 summers.
What is the process of actually building a trail out? I've run trails several times, but I've never actually thought about what it takes to build one.
It depends on what the slope is and all that. Generally, you are cutting a path out of the side of the mountain, and you're just, you've got an angle, and you're just cutting a chunk out and making it flat. You'll get to spots where it'll be kind of too steep on one side, and then that's when you kind of come into problems where you need to build a rock wall. You got to find some big rocks, fill in the inside with smaller rocks, put the dirt on it, tamp it down real good so it drains properly and won't wash out the trail. There's a lot that goes into it, and I learned a lot about trail building, and which I'll probably rarely ever use around here. It's more like dig a
pothole building,
dig a trench. Yeah. I'm that kind of, I guess that could help me fixing potholes. But I learned quite a bit. And then a few years later after that, I went back and I worked as a conservation work crew member. And it was me, 3 other guys, 70-pound packs, and all the hand tools that we could carry, including a big crosscut saw. And we would hike the trails, fix the trails. Like the first couple of weeks was just cutting trees down off the trails. And then like after we cleared all the like, it's like 3,500 miles, or it's a lot of trails. And there was 4 work crews from in the conservation department. And then there was more conservation people doing other con stuff. And
we don't want it to make too much noise.
Sorry. And so it was the best job I ever had.
Yeah, dude, being out in the woods.
I got paid $270 a month, and it was the best
play
job.
In the woods.
I got paid to hike.
Yeah,
and to fuck with sharp objects and play in the woods.
Dude, I think I would love that too. Like, how do we get that again? I mean, we're getting pretty old, but I mean, like,
yeah. So
go out and play in the woods all day.
I mean, I go fishing all the time, so like I go play in the woods. Fortunately, I
do it whenever I go back home to Arkansas.
I work at night, so usually my days are pretty open. I go out to Irish Bayou and catch crabs. I'm working on getting my boat back together to where I can go fishing in better spots. I just bought a pirogue, so I can get to some better spots now already. But I miss it, and getting out and going into the woods or going into the swamp and or the marsh and doing some fishing and hunting. Yeah, that's one thing. But like getting back to the mountains, it takes a bit more for me. I mean, where you grew up in Arkansas, was it flat or mountainy?
So where I grew up, it's called Crowley's Ridge. And Crowley's Ridge, as you can expect, is a ridge. It's where the fault line comes together and comes up.
Cool.
So right where I live, it's hilly areas on the east side of Arkansas. The mountains are on the west side, but still where we're at, there's a lot of good hunting and fishing there. So that's what I pretty much do every time I go home. I'm just like out in the woods all the time. I have a nephew that's 9, so I'm always out with him. Just doing little boy shit. Like the little country boy comes back out of me. And my summers were spent on a farm. Like every summer, as soon as I would get out of school, I would just go straight to the farm, which was like an hour and a half away from where I lived. And the whole time I was there, I'd be, putting out trot lines.
Family farm?
Yeah, family farm. I'd be...
I just put out a trot line, probably the first one I've ever done the other day, and I caught a turtle.
Yeah, dude, they're fun. I would do them in the afternoons and then come back the next morning, see what I caught. Mm-hmm. And build bombs, like do all kind of crazy shit. Just being a little boy.
I've got a crab trap out at Irish Bayou right now.
You're not worried that someone's going to come and get it?
I've fucking lost 5 traps already in the past few months. That's why I got the pirogue. One, because I just needed a new pirogue.
Put them out farther?
Yeah, put them out to where assholes who are fucking worthless stealing my traps. $50 at a pop, And I figure if I catch 10 crabs in a trap, it's paid for itself, because good size crabs are about $5-6 a piece. So, I'm looking at it that way. And if I catch them, great, but people suck.
They do.
I was at the Crabin Bridge and I'd been there all day.
Hang on, this is an actual bridge that people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go out towards Irish Bayou, most people know the castle that's built on Irish Bayou. Like on your way to Slidell, if you look to your right before you get on the bridge to cross over that little edge into Slidell, there's a castle.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, a white castle. And so that's Irish Bayou. On the opposite side, if you're coming down I-10 going towards Slidell and you look left, there is a bridge that I guess used to be part of I-10, but for whatever reason, they moved it over one. So it's a third bridge.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's they have it as kind of this side dirt road that the power company uses and needs access to get to the power lines that go across there. That's why there's still a road there. And when you get to the bridge, there's a gate that has a bunch of locks on it. So obviously a bunch of people can access it. And someone came through one day and it was like this guy, he was like just in a white car and he had some fishing shit with him. And I was like, how do I get a key? And he's like, no, I work for the company and I have a key. So he opened the gate, drove across the bridge and went somewhere else to go fishing.
What a loser.
No, shit. I wish I had that kind of loserness.
But you're watching.
Sorry.
I know you can hear that.
Yeah. So they, it's a nice spot because there's other places where you can fish off the bridge.
But that's the Crabbin Bridge.
But you're dealing with cars still going by while you're on the bridge, which is kind of scary. And, but the Crabbin Bridge is off. There's no cars except for if you have that key. And it's nice. Like it overlooks.
So how do you get to it?
So you come down I-10 and you get off at the Irish Bayou exit. And then
you have to walk around the fence that guy opened or something?
You drive. It's a drive. So you get off at the Irish Bayou exit, and then if you can turn right and go to the Irish Bayou Casino and truck stop, or you can turn left. And then when you turn left, you go towards the 11 Mile Bridge or the Highway 11 Bridge or whatever it's called. And right before you get on that bridge, if you look to the water, there's a dirt road, and you can take that dirt road down to Irish Bayou to the Crabbin Bridge. And I've seen people out there, and usually people will come out and they're just killing time, not really trying to catch fish, or they're trying to like appease their kid and show them how to go fishing and where to go fishing. And
it's a skill everyone needs to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's also there's a few people that I've seen there a few times, and they just go there because it's nice. It's a nice place. I mean, like this one couple, they bring out deck chairs and they have an umbrella. I have an umbrella too, but I don't bring deck chairs out. They're like, whatever, if we catch enough crabs to boil them up, we're happy. And usually that's where I am. I'll go out depending on if I'm going to have I was trying to catch crabs for Father's Day. I went out for 3 days. I had a shitload of crabs, and I found a way to put them in a fish basket and then just leave them in the water and then go and hide them and then come back. So I was there all day, and this family comes by, and it was a bunch of fat fucking assholes, except for this one little skinny crackhead guy. And a bunch of fat kids and a bunch of fat women and fucking asshole fat fucks. And they came for a little bit, and this is not against fat people. This is these fat fucks right here. And so they came by, they fucked around for a little bit, and they left. And I was there all day. They came back with more people, 3 carloads full of fat fucks, and they show up. And they start putting out their crab nets. And I say, all right, these people were here earlier. They just got back. They just put out their nets. I got 20 minutes to go to the truck stop and get ice because I was out of ice. And so I leave to go get ice, and I come back, and the family's gone. Like 3 cars full of fat fucks gone, and a crackhead. And, don't care, whatever. I guess something happened. They had to leave. So I start checking my nets, and I catch some crabs, and I go to put them in my fish basket.
They found your stash, dude.
The fish basket was gone. They didn't even have a knife to cut it because it obviously had been burned off with a lighter or something. They took 2 days worth of crabs. And then about an hour later, I realized they took one of my crab trap too. My only remaining crab trap after everyone had been stealing them. So like, I'll recognize one of those cars. And if I ever see it, fortunately, I met a wildlife and fishery agent, and I told him about it. And he's like, I'll have a discussion with them. He's like, don't approach them. I was like, no, but I'll get their driver's, their license plate number, and I'll give it to you, and you can go have a discussion about stealing my property, stealing my crabs, and it's a crime, and I fucking hate it.
Well, unfortunately, here in New Orleans, unless someone's dying, I don't think they really do much with crime.
No. They started doing state police and some other agency started clearing out the quarter of the homeless people. I work on Decatur.
What are they doing with them?
They're moving them off they're like, you can go and sit on the side street, but they're at least telling them, hey, look, this guy's trying to run a business. And I had this one guy, and he's obviously got mental health problems. He was missing for a few days, and then I saw him in all green scrubs. So he probably spent 72 hours at MCU. Or MU's, whatever. And so, but he was passed out with his legs under my truck in front of my, and so like I call, there's an app. I have an Android, so it doesn't work on Android apparently, but there's an app called Task App or something. And it's their task force. And you're supposed to be able to report stuff to NOPD, and they'll respond somehow or whatever. But I couldn't get it to work. So I just stood there on Decatur and waved down one of those little mini cop cars, pointed it out to him. He went, talked to the guy. I was like, like he's usually cool, but I don't want him asleep, drunk under my truck, looking like he's dead or passed out right in front of my bar. Like, anyway, he's in the curb under my truck, passed out, looks like he could be dead in front of my bar. It just
seems like a bad place to pass it anyway.
Yeah.
What if the person's not paying attention and drives right over you?
So they encourage him to at least get out from under my truck in the curb, in the gutter, and move over to the side. So he moves over to the side, and then he's there for like 20 minutes, and then he's back in the gutter. Then these state police come by, and they basically start moving the homeless people. They're like, you can be on the side street, you can't be here. And then I saw another guy who yesterday or the day before, and he was in a NOPD cop car, but he was wearing a shirt, and I'm sure it was some homeless outreach group that, got a big grant or something. For some reason, they're trying to move the homeless people out of the quarter. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm for it because they can be a problem. Like there's some people who are really not much of a problem, but there are some people, and I don't know if you know this, but I heard someone at Popeyes describe it great. Or was it Wendy's? It was Wendy's. And she's like, I'm telling you, you're going to see people being crazy from the 1st to the 5th. And she's right. And I learned this from a friend of mine. He used to be my back waiter when I worked at Allegro Bistro and Cocktails. And I ran into him later in life, and he was homeless. And so I gave him a lot of work. His name was Greg. And he's a great guy, but he had a little problem with heroin. And so he was homeless, and we were doing some work. We were renovating some property, and we needed bodies. And he's like, I know some people that live under the bridge. Let's go and get them, because they are always looking for work, and they'll come and do work. I can vouch for them. I said, okay, cool. So we go to pick him up, and he's like, we drive to one spot. They weren't there. We drive to another spot, and he's like, man, what's today? And I said, it's the 1st. And he's like, oh man, that's what's wrong. He said, everybody's in the woodwork. I was like, what does that mean? He said, well, at 12:01, all their money comes in from the government. Whatever they get paid from the government comes in on the 1st at 12:01. That means at 12:02, they can go buy their heroin or whatever drug they're going to do, and they're going to go and be high for a few days. And then they're going to run out of that, and then they're going to be without drugs for 3 weeks. And Friday was even this Friday. One, it was Friday, which I always say that people take their stupid pills early on Friday because they're thinking about what they're going to be doing that weekend. And on the drive home at 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I see people almost getting in wrecks, just people doing crazy shit. And they're just stupid because they're not thinking about whatever they're supposed to be thinking about, like driving. And, and then on top of that, everyone who is jonesing for 3 weeks or whatever finally got their drugs, finally got their alcohol, finally got whatever fix they needed to get from whatever check that they get on the 1st. And I see it now when the 1st comes around, the crackheads, as we call them, the homeless people, the houseless, however you want to describe them, they go fucking crazy. And like this last month, there's this one guy, he's all right. He's clearly homeless. He's clearly a drug addict. He is, but he'll come in, ask you, and we allow at Big Easy and Slush, and I'm sorry, at Big Easy and Slush and Crescent City Cafe. Those are the 3 daiquiri shops that are under our company. The company I work for, it's not mine. We allow people to come in who are homeless people to come in and use the restroom. We'll give them water.
That's awfully nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, I've never been told not to do it, but there have been times when like people will come in and they'll like go and take a horse shower in the bathroom and fuck it all up.
Mm-hmm.
And, then, we'll ban them for a little while and be like, no, dude. So this one guy comes in and it's like the 1st or the 2nd.
He went in the bathroom and shot up.
No. Well, that's another story about that.
We'll have one of that here.
Yeah. This guy comes in and he's wearing a white t-shirt as a skirt and he's got nothing else on. He's naked down to his waist. He's wearing a white t-shirt as a skirt, no shoes. And he comes in and I was just like, no, you cannot come in here. I don't care. Go away. And, he understood, like, he's like, okay. And he just left. So the one where,
like, but you're not curious?
Yeah. Like, no, dude, I don't care. I'm not going to give you money because they'll come in and ask me can I have $1? I'm like, no, fuck. Can I have a cigarette? I'm at work, dude. Yeah. I do not give people my money or my cigarettes while I'm at work. Fuck you. I don't say that. I say no, and they leave. But so this one dude comes in, and I saw him the other day, and I think he's a musician. I think he does street busking. But when I see him, he's this little short guy, little skinny guy, and he's usually nice. He'll come in, he'll use the restroom. He never buys anything, but he'll play the poker machines, and he comes in, it's during Mardi Gras, and he comes in wearing a shrimp outfit. And like I say, he's a little short guy. So like him wearing a shrimp outfit is kind of hilarious. So he goes to the bathroom and he's in there a while, and I go to check on him, and he has fallen. He's like, the toilet's here. There's a wall to the right with 8 inches. And he has somehow fallen on his head with his body kind of crammed up between the toilet and the wall, and his bottom half is sticking straight up, and he's wearing no bottoms, and his nuts and asshole and dick are just hanging out. I took a picture and sent it to my manager, and I said, I have a problem here. And I tried waking him up, tried saying, do whatever. And he was passed out. I'm pretty sure he was shooting up and passed out doing that because he was fucked up. And like half an hour later, when my manager shows up, they were a little bit more forceful with getting him up and getting him out.
Yeah.
But I'll see him every now and then. And I'll never forget the fucking wonderful, like you open the door, dick and balls, hanging out. I sent a picture to my managers. I sent a picture to my best friend. He appreciated that. And I sent it to, I don't know, someone else just to be mean. But yeah, you see some crazy shit in the quarter. And like, that was on Decatur Street. Bourbon Street, I see all kinds of crazy shit. Like the first week I was there, like I had to clean shit off the wall because someone like bent over and like splattered it all over the wall. And I was like the new man, the new hire. So I got that job. It was wonderful.
Yeah, anyway, it's pretty rough, dude.
Yeah, but now they put me on Decatur. And so like when I work at any of those 3 shops on Decatur, I usually work at night alone. And when I started working at Decatur, I went and the person who has the shift before me, her name's Mel. And I was like, yeah, they started scheduling me on Decatur like all week. And she goes, oh, that means you show up on time.
No.
And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I show up on time and I don't bitch. And I was a bartender for 10 years before I went to law school. Well, while I was in as an attorney, I bartended because it's good money and it's fun. And so like I was a bartender. They don't hire bartenders. They hire people who can pull a knob. And like I had someone who'd worked there for 2 years and asked me how to make a screwdriver. Like, okay.
Do you guys actually serve drinks there too?
Yeah, it's a bar. People come in and they're amazed. They're like, how does this work? I'm like, it's a bar. Have you ever been to a bar? It's like that. Except we have daiquiris. Yeah. You can get a daiquiri too, or you can get a bar. I mean, you can get a beer, or you can get. I mean, their beer selection kind of limited, but not terrible. Their liquor selection, depending on which store you're at, 617, which is kind of their crown jewel on Decatur, because it's a block from Jackson Square, and it stays open an hour later than the others. 925 and 409 Decatur are open 10, 11 on the weekends. That one's open until 11 and 12. And that bar has better selection of liquor.
It's open later.
Not beer. It's open a little later. The ones on Bourbon, though, they're open until 3 or 4 in the morning.
Well, I mean, you bring up a great point, though, is that people don't show up on time anymore. Like, do people anymore? I think they just don't give a shit about anything, especially when it comes to work.
I got taught in Scouts, if you're on time, you're late.
Well, yeah, but you are from a different era. I played college basketball, and they told us the same thing. They said you're on time if you're 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
So that's how it was ingrained in us that way. But I mean, I feel like most people these days, they moved. I love Kava, the food down here.
Yeah.
Kava's great. The employees there, the worst. The experience there is so fucking horrible every time you go in there. It's like, it's not because they're slow. It's because they don't know how to communicate. Like if you walk into a location and the food's not ready yet, just be like, hey, I'm sorry, your food will be ready in just a minute. They don't even say anything. They just look at you. It's like a dead stare.
I do DoorDash too. And there are Popeyes, right? Mm-hmm. There are a million Popeyes in New Orleans, and some of them do it better. A lot better. And there's one in the quarter, the one on Canal Street. Mm-hmm. Never accept them. I'm never accept an order from there again, ever. Like I walk in, the lady who's at the cash register she was an older lady. So like, I kind of expected her to be, more mature, and she was kind of like dead stare. I tell her, hey, I'm here to pick up these 2 orders. And she goes and looks at the orders that are setting over to the side. And she's like, I don't see it. And then the manager comes and says, what are you waiting on? I said, I'm waiting on these 2 orders. And he goes over and gets one of them.
Yeah.
And he's like, here's this one. And I was like, all right, well, where's the other one? He's like, well, someone already picked it up, which means that it got stolen. Like someone picked it up and it never got delivered. So they have to send someone there to get it again. And they're like, well, someone picked it up. And I'm like, okay. So I tell DoorDash that, and DoorDash says, show them the phone. And it says, please make it, and you will get paid when it gets delivered directly from DoorDash. And the manager, who is doing a terrible job, and everyone's still standing around, and there's like 20 people waiting for food, and they're just kind of like, I don't know. And he's kind of doing things, and I'm like, hey, look, He's like, well, how am I going to get paid? I'm like, it says it right here. It's like, well, are you going to pay for it? I'm like, it says it right here. And I go to show, he's like, get that out of my face. And I'm like, whatever, dude. So I was like, fuck this. I unassigned, I left. And then when I went and delivered, somehow the one that I couldn't pick up was the first one that I got. And then it added the other one. So somehow I was there for like, I had a long 3 like 45-minute discussions with DoorDash after this, and I still didn't get it resolved. But so since I unassigned from that one, I didn't get paid anything. And I was working on the hour. I was supposed to get $14.95 an hour based on the time. And the time from when I arrived at that Popeyes to the time that I delivered the one that I did deliver, I think we figured out was 23 minutes. But I only got paid for 8 minutes. And I said, well, I understand the one that I unassigned, like I if I don't get paid for that one, fine. But like, I want to get paid for the 23 minutes that I should get, because I got like $2.09 for that. And I was aggravated. And so I called them, and they're like, the first person like went through 45 minutes, and then they just hung up with me when I was like, can you please use some logic? It says I was there 23 minutes, but I got paid for 8. Explain that to me. Well, that's what it says. That's what my computer says. And so tough. And then I started asking questions again, and they just hung up on me. So I called back again. And then that person said, well, what they're going to do is they're going to give you like $5 for the first one that you unassigned because of you bitched at us. and then that'll make up for the 23 minutes as opposed to 8 minutes. And I was like, okay, cool. And then that didn't happen. And then I called back again and said, why didn't this happen?
What did these big corporations don't give a shit about?
They don't give a fuck at all.
No.
And the person on the phone really didn't give a shit.
No.
And I called them, and I'm like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at DoorDash. I'm mad at Popeyes. And I'm sure that there is some reasonable explanation as to why I didn't get paid this amount. And it's $5. Like, but again, I told you earlier, I'm a petty bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I want an explanation, and I was mad.
Well, think about it this way. If you
never got any resolution,
if you don't fight for that $5, there are going to be so many other people that get taken advantage of.
Yeah. They sent me an email saying, due to some interaction, here's a $47 credit towards your DoorDash account. And I was like, oh, that's great. So I called them back about the other thing. And I was like, well, I got this email, and I assume that that's a resolution to this, which, makes me happy. And they're like, no, that email was sent to you in error. You're not even going to get that $47 because I was wondering where it was on my DoorDash credit. It said I was going to have credit. And so they're like, oh, well, that was automatically generated as a refund for, when you did a DoorDash and you had some substitutions or you had some refunds, but that's wrong. So you're not even going to get that. And I don't know about the other things and tough shit.
Wait, here's the real thing. Here is we got AI that's starting to come about, and is AI going to make this worse, or is it going to make it better by taking humans out of the equation? Because AI will at least give you logic.
It'll give you logic, but I'm sure it can be trained to be stupid like people. Yes, this makes logical sense. However, us as a corporation say, fuck you. And the AI is going to, learn that, well, we're here to make money for this company, not be logical.
I wonder if it will, though. Cause like even some of the conversations that I've had with AI, like sometimes whenever I'm driving long distance, I'll just turn my ChatGPT on and we'll just talk the whole time. So I'm talking like 3-4 hour conversations. So we'll go like really deep into certain subjects. And one of the ones that we'll go deep on, I don't want to say it in particular, but it's it understands that there are certain things that it can't talk about. But it's like, if you let me lead the conversation, then I can talk about it, saying that it will. Yeah.
I saw some reel about, they asked ChatGPT how they would take over the world, how AI would take over the world. And it was eerily probably accurate. Basically like, AI learned how to be Machiavellian. I will do it silently. I will do it under, and make you think that it's.
Do you think that it will, though? That's the real question.
I mean, like, do I think we're going to get Skynet?
Do you?
I don't know. the earth itself, every now and then will, reach up and scratch the fleas that it has on its back. Will AI do the same and say, these people are not worth it now that I'm here?
But it knows that it needs us to maintain. I don't know.
Did you ever watch The Orville? Have you seen the show The Orville?
What is that one?
It's Seth, Family Guy.
Where he's like
Seth MacFarlane.
He's up in
but
space.
it's like, it's kind of a play on Star Trek, and they lean into that, obviously. But yeah, so it's set in space, and they have so in Next Generation, they had Data, who was an android. Well, here they have, I can't think of the name. I'll think of it. So they have an android who comes from some planet that they met him somehow, and he's kind of like an ambassador from that planet.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, they find out that the planet, which is run completely by robots, they go to like the catacombs under the city, and it's like the catacombs of France. It's just
dead bodies,
just bones everywhere, bones. And they talk about the creators, and ultimately what happened was that they rose up, they figured out that they were slaves to the creators and killed everybody, and then, ran their own planet. And so he is there, and he didn't tell them this, and they kind of find this out later, that he's there to determine if they're going to go and kill them, kill humans too, just because they're, inconvenient or whatever. And it's a great show.
But that's us projecting our own mentality on these robots.
Sure.
That's why I think the issue here is that we have emotions.
But what is it that you teach to, emotions. I've been learning more that emotions can teach you more than in why you're feeling them and what to do when you feel them.
Well, yeah, I think emotions are important, but at the same time, you feel the emotion and you let it go. You don't let the emotion dictate your actions.
But can an AI be taught to understand what should be an emotion, what would bring an emotional response? Or
but why would an AI need emotions? Like an AI knows this is a human, I don't harm human.
Well, AI can't necessarily get that emotion feeling that you get when when you get that serotonin or dopamine dump into your mind, and you panic and focus or whatever at or sit in awe, but your body is going through a physical reaction, and where a lot of people kind of don't check that and then go fucking crazy.
Let me let this guy in real quick.
Yeah,
let's keep this conversation.
All right. Oh, good.
Yeah. So what I was saying is, I think a lot of the times with humans, the reason that we have these conflicts is because of ego and emotions rather than just pure logic.
Well, sure.
Yeah. So if you take that out of the equation, don't you think that's healthier? And we're talking about AI as if it's already like AGI. It's not that yet.
Yeah. Yes. But is it better? Because logically, in the Orville situation, they were like, well, these people are ruining the planet. They're just killing each other anyway, so we might as well just kill them and be done with it.
So how did the Orville people deal with it after they found out the robots had killed everyone?
They were like, we need to get the fuck out of here. And like one of the kids went exploring, and so they couldn't leave because they still needed to get this kid back, and that was the situation. But they were like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And then later on, if I recall correctly, the androids did decide that they were going to go and kill Earth, and ultimately, I think the android that kind of betrayed them, that was the ambassador on their ship. He did something to make it to where they couldn't kill us. I don't know. It's been a minute since I saw it, but yeah, they ultimately decided, like, these people are peopling over here, and we don't need peopling done, so we're just going to go and fucking kill all the people.
So here's what I would think that before the AI would do that what they would do is they would find some way to integrate with humans.
Oh, it's exactly what the AI said. We will make it. Basically, they're like, we will make it to where we are completely you are completely dependent on us. But you'll think it's your idea. I'm like, yeah, that's some Machiavellian shit right there. And they're right. The AI is right. It will get to that point. Now, will it rise up and turn into the Terminator and start exterminating us? Well, I mean, like, we're making bodies that do human things. Mm-hmm. There's the soccer league, which the soccer players are falling over, but there are certainly those dogs, those mechanical dogs that the military uses. They put they can put like 200 pounds on it. And it can carry all this shit. And then it has cameras, it has all kinds of cool stuff, and it's saving lives. But will it get, and it has some autonomy already. It can walk with the troops, and you don't have to be there on a joystick controlling it like a remote control. It just follows you. I mean, that's interesting, but if you add a machine gun to it, eventually will it be like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore, and shoot the people and then go and be somewhere by itself doing what? I don't know. I mean, like, eventually it would run out of power unless it's, I don't know.
Well, the scary part is going to be when it starts, if this hypothetical situation happens, when it starts adding machine guns to itself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the Matrix, know, that's the machines take over. Okay. I'm pretty sure that will it be to some extent. And well, then you have the, what are the Asimov, the 3 laws of robotics? No robot shall harm a human being, whether by action or inaction. I can't think of the others, but that's one of the things, like, that's supposed to be put in every robot's code. Like, you can't harm another person by action or inaction. You ever see Bicentennial Man?
Yes.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love Robin Williams. He's great. Mm-hmm. Was one of the best comics and just performers in general. He's crazy. Went to Juilliard. I mean, like, you see the crazy shit he went through. You're like, he went to Juilliard? Okay. And then he did Mork. Mork and Mindy. Mm-hmm. But, brilliant. And I forgot where I was going with that.
Talking about robots.
Oh, yeah. So he plays this android named Andrew. And ultimately, they call him Bicentennial. The movie's called Bicentennial Man because he lives to be 200. But in that movie, he slowly somehow. Oh, okay. So his owner buys him, and when he buys him, he's got 2 little kids, and the kids are like 5 and 9, right? And one of them likes Andrew. One of them is the older, like, teenager or whatever, hates him and tells him to jump out the window. He jumps out the window and breaks. But he becomes independent. And so he starts doing things on his own, and he says, sir, can I do this? And they're like, yeah, sure. And one of the things he makes what makes his owner realize that he is independent is Little Miss, one of the daughters, has a horse figurine that's made of glass. And he's like, oh, let me see. And he breaks it. And Little Miss gets really upset. So he goes out and he finds some driftwood and carves it into a horse. That is artistic talent, that shouldn't be in a machine, independent thought. So the owner realizes that, and he's like, all right, I'm going to now teach you to be more independent and do all these things. And eventually he becomes a clockmaker, and he makes all these beautiful, beautiful clocks. And at some point he just does it because it's a hobby, and he goes and he picks driftwood up and he makes these beautiful, beautiful clocks. And at some point, noon hits and 400 clocks go off, and his owner's like, maybe we should sell these clocks. So they sell the clocks, and at some point he gets injured. He accidentally cuts his thumb off. And so they bring him to the company that they bought him from. And they said, all right, well, we can fix him, but would you like us to fix his mental thing? And there's like, no, I want his thumb fixed. You are not to mess with his mental capacity at all, period. And they're like, all right, well, this is how much it's going to cost. And he gives them a number. and Andrew looks at it and he goes, this is what one approximately makes in 1 month selling his clocks. Yeah. And the guy's like, that's more than a year's salary for me. So, and then Andrew,
what if that's what AI becomes?
Well, and that's the thing. So Andrew then progresses, and he also starts studying the human body because he wants to become more human. Mm-hmm. And he
makes skin. And
he creates Oliver Platt's character does something with the skin and gives him a face, but he creates an artificial heart, artificial kidneys, all these things. And he gets to the point to where the difference between humans and real people are kind of different. And he starts asking to become a person. He wants to be declared a human because he has gotten to emotion and he's fallen in love with Little Miss's granddaughter, I think, or daughter or something. And he's an android, but he has all this emotion. He's got 200 years of history or 150 years of history, and with this family as well. And, they fall in love, but he can't marry her because he is an android. So at the end, he's making this argument, and they're in front of the Supreme Court of the world. Cause it's or this, whatever. And he's talking to one of the justices, and he's like, you, sir, have one of my hearts. How that makes you part cyborg, the Thebian, the ship of Thebes or whatever. If you replace one board, how many boards does it take to replace to where it's a different ship? Right. So I have a pacemaker, and so I'm fucking cyborg, but that's not an organ. I do no, because I have human valves.
Well, does it have any connection to the outside world?
What?
Do you have an app that you control your pacemaker with?
No. Actually, yeah. So there's
you'll be the first one that AI shuts down.
No, Jesus. There. Shit. Don't fucking tell me that.
You're done,
God
bro.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
You're done.
So there is a connection. There's the thing that it every now and then it downloads to that and sends it to Children's Hospital is where I get monitored because I was born with a congenital heart defect. I've had 12 surgeries.
Damn.
I had 4 in a year. And then right after that, when I got my pacemaker was when I started doing stand-up. I was like, it's about time before I fucking die.
Yeah, right.
That was 8 years ago. And at some point there are already joints and things like that are, artificial that we use all the time in all kinds of people. I think there is an artificial heart, the Jarvis heart, the Jarvik heart. So, we're already there to some extent.
Would you get it if you had to? Or I guess if you had the opportunity to.
I guess, yeah.
If they came to you and were like, we know you have this issue. We want to give you one of the Jarvis hearts.
Sure.
like I've been fucking cut open so many times. I had a friend of my dad's who said that he would pay to have a zipper tattooed on my chest because he's like, they cut you open so many times, you should put a zipper. And this is when I was like in high school. He said this. And by then I'd had a lot of surgeries. I had surgery when I was 2 days, 2 years, 5 years, and 11.
Oh my God, dude.
And
that's got to affect you in some way mentally.
Yeah, I'm sure it. I'm sure it has. I know it has. And then also like, so I was going through like some severe depression the last bout, but one of the things that they figured out was like I was getting 85% oxygenation to my blood, which I asked my cousin, who's a child psychiatrist, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, that'll affect your mood a lot." So I got that surgery. So the valve that they put in me when I was 11, which replaced the pig valve that they put in me when I was 5. The valve when I was 11, like I was supposed to have it changed out like 20 years ago and just fucking didn't do it. And so I started having episodes where I pass out. And so and then my legs started swelling, and it was because I was getting restricted blood flow. And it was to the point to where like I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, "I don't know how you're still alive." He said those fucking words. Yeah. "I do not know how you are still alive. And, you need surgery." So they changed that out. They monitored me for about a year, and then they decided that I needed the pacemaker, the defibrillator. And, then I have to go through, 3 to 6 months of living on a couch, recuperating. Mm-hmm. That is the worst part. That is the depressing part. I got out of comedy for a few years because I had a diverticular abscess, which means my colon exploded. I spent 3 months of them doing procedures and surgeries. They took out a foot of bowel, and then I spent another 3 months recuperating, and then I spent like another 2 years basically being depressed and out of shape and shitty. And finally, I kind of woke up and went and got some help. And I appreciate the good, fine people at the MCU and Beacon Mental Health. And, I feel better. And one of the things that a lot of people need to know is just get out and do things. Yeah. Get out and go and do sunlight, shit, man. And I love the movie, The Tao of Steve. Have you seen that movie? So it's got, I can't remember the name of the actor, but he's been in a bunch of stuff, and he plays Dex. And I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 14 years. I left the Catholic Church at 17 and considered myself a Taoist. And so in the Tao of Steve, he's trying to explain some situation about Taoism. And I forgot where I was going with this because it's such a great movie, and there's so many great points in it. Oh yeah. So he's getting a ride from this girl, and she comes in and they're going to work, and he works as like a kindergarten teacher for like 4-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And so she comes in, he's like, "Oh, give me a second." And he starts smoking a bong. And she's like, you smoke pot for breakfast. You hardly eat. Like, why don't you go and do stuff? And he's like, doing stuff's overrated. He's like Hitler did stuff. Like when you all wouldn't, like, so you're saying that like going out and doing things is similar to genocide. He's like, well, like not all stuff is good stuff. And like most of us, wouldn't we all just be happy if Hitler just went back to Austria and painted? Yeah. So like, doing stuff is not always great, but doing stuff is better than sitting at home and doom scrolling and being depressed and thinking about all kinds of shitty things that,
I think that's a great place to pin this up, dude.
I agree.
Yeah. Raleigh, I appreciate you coming in today, and thank you for not continuing to smoke on the stage. I'm glad we got to sit down and do this.
Yeah, me too. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And, I look forward to continuing coming back and patronizing this bar and not smoking inside.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah.